Hi, how are you doing? Yeah.
Okay, good evening everybody, Shavua Tov. There are plenty of seats up here.
What's that? Really, I was so tired. I can't go too long, you know. Where are your kids? And we had my house afterwards. Oh my God.
Shavua Tov, everybody. Wish you all a good week. Welcome to the Torch Center. As many of you know, we've done whatever we can to make this place a holy place and a place that's welcoming for everyone. And not only tonight, but every day and every evening, this place is open for you. There's coffee here all the time. There's snacks and water and tea and great Jewish inspiration. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we really, really look forward to seeing more of you at our classes. We're going to have programs at the door. So after this wonderful evening, you'll be able to see more of our programs. Now, many of you know that this past week we had a magnificent campaign, and we thank you all for your contributions and for your help in ensuring that Torch survives one more year, and we're deeply grateful. Now, to tonight's program, it's a surprise, because even I don't know what's in store. The two Krohns, the Krohn duo, I think the first time performing together ever, and we're really, really excited, so thank you all for joining us. But before we begin, I need to really recognize our co-sponsor, Jeffrey Goldstein and his family. Tonight's event is L'Zecha Nishmas
Chayarisha
Bas Avraham. And I want to thank you, Jeff. And without any further ado, I want to welcome to the stage Rabbi and David Krohn.
I've had the opportunity to speak all over the Jewish world, but I don't know if I've ever been as excited as I am tonight. And I'll tell you why. You see, my Zaidi was a man by the name of Henoch Krohn. He was a chazan, he was a shochet, he was a moyel, and he came to Scranton, Pennsylvania many, many years ago, in the beginning of the 1900s. And then he brought over my Bubby. Oh, already it's been? So he brought over my Bubby, Chana, and they had 4 children. Ben Zion was the oldest, my father Avram was the second, David's father Feivel was the third, and then Michal, or Machal, Yechiel Michal was the 4th. Now, if you take a look at this picture is so ancient, it looks ancient. You see my Zaidi with a big chazan yarmulke, and my grandmother, who looks like from the 18th century, which she probably was, right? And the 4 little children, the 4 boys. You can see that's why I became a moyel, from a family of, all boys. But anyway, but the point is that my Zaidi gave over a love of Torah and mitzvahs, but davening. His voice was beautiful. When I became older and my Zaidi moved to New York, he was the one who taught me how to daven Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. And not only that, I had learned from my father. My father, Al Shalom, had been the Baal Tefillah in our shul, so I learned from him, but unfortunately he passed away young. I was only 21 at the time. So when I was appointed to daven in our shul, not only did I learn from my Zaidi, but I learned from David's father, my Uncle Feivel. And he had a fabulous, fabulous voice. And he was extremely handsome, and David is both of those. Extremely handsome, and he's got a fabulous voice. And when Jeff called me and said that I should come to Houston, I was thinking, oh my gosh, well, I'm going to have an opportunity to see David. I haven't seen him in a long time. I think the last time was Nebuchadnezzar, Virginia, by the Leviah of his father. And, I was so happy just that I would see him because, he's very busy. He's a world-renowned singer, as you're going to hear in a few moments. He's with the Houston Philharmonic, and he's in demand all over the place. I mean, he's famous, not me. I mean, and he's wonderful. So here, a whole last 5 months, I've been talking to Jeff, and talking to Dr. Kellerman, and talking to all the wonderful people, the Feintuchs, that hosted me. And I was so excited to be able to spend a wonderful Shabbos with the Goldsteins. And then it occurred to me, hey, wait a second. If we're doing something in the Torch, and Rabbi Wolbe's place of Kirov is available, I know that Rabbi Wolbe and David learned together, they studied together. Why don't we do a show together? People, I don't look at myself that way, but people call me the Maggid. The Maggid is the one who tells stories. So I figured, let's do something, the Maggid and the music. And that would be great. And I called David. And then I called all my brothers and sisters to say, David and I are going to perform. They said, get us tickets to Houston. We can't wait to get down here. So what we are doing tonight is, it's a rarity, really. When do we ever get a chance to do a duet, as we're going to do? But the mutual love that he and I have for song and for singing and becoming close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is exactly the connection that we have in the family. And that's why it is an absolute thrill for me to be able to, in a few moments, present David. And he's going to do certain renditions. Many of them are in Yiddish because the old traditional songs were in Yiddish. And I'm sure some of you certainly understand Yiddish. If not, we'll be able to translate. But I want to begin by just again thanking the Goldstein family for an extraordinary Shabbos. Believe me, if any of you are hungry, just go to Jeff's house. There was so much food there this afternoon. That's why, that's why they were late tonight. They were probably just cleaning up, right? I don't know what are you going to do with all that food, and all the chametz before Paysach. But whatever, it was a meal for a king, and I thank you so much for it. It was an honor to be there.
Thank you.
So I just want to begin by telling you a very interesting story, and then we're going to have David come up and tell us a little bit about himself, and he'll give the first rendition tonight. We all know that every little child, if he's fortunate enough to have a Zaidi, he's always trying to impress his Zaidi, to show what kind of little good boy he is, what kind of tzaddik he is, and all the wonderful things. And I give all of you a blessing that you should be grandparents, grandfathers, grandmothers, great-grandfathers, great-grandmothers. There's nothing like having grandchildren. It's wonderful. You spoil them rotten, and then you send them home, and you just have a good time. It's just wonderful. It's a great, great feeling. So, many years ago, and some of you may have heard of this person because he became a brilliant, brilliant Talmud Chacham, as all the Soloveitchiks are. This man was named Rabbi Aaron Soloveitchik. And Rabbi Aaron Soloveitchik was 6 years old at this moment of the story. And he was davening with his grandfather. His grandfather was Rabbi Elia Feinstein. He came from the town of Pruzhin, so he was known as Rabbi Elia Pruzhiner. And it was during the holiest days of the year, between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And we know that many men get up very, very early, and they daven slichos. Slichos are certain prayers that we daven to Hashem, that we should have a very good year. And the most moving part of that prayer, of that slichos prayer, is the Shema Koleinu. And many of you will remember it. We say it on Yom Kippur. Many times we say it slichos. Shema Koleinu, Hashem, please listen to our voice. Shema Koleinu, chus v'rachim aleinu v'kabel v'rachmim u'v'rotzen es tfilaseinu. Please accept our prayers with your compassion and with your sympathy. And this little boy is saying it so loud because he's a genius. He knows at 6-year-old. He knows what the meanings of these words are. And his Zaidi is very impressed. And then it comes to the next phrase. Hashivenu Hashem Elech, Hashem, please come back to us. V'nashuva, and then we're going to repent. We're going to join Torch, and we're going to repent, and we're going to be such wonderful people. And he's saying it with such enthusiasm and such excitement. And then there's another phrase. Now, all of us over 40 and 50 will be able to relate to this phrase. But this phrase, the little boy didn't say with such excitement. And this phrase goes as follows. Al tashlichenu liyezikna. Don't cast me away to old age. When our strength is waning, al tazvenu, do not forsake us. Now that's talking about old people, right? So this little boy didn't say it with such enthusiasm. So afterwards, his Zaidi went over to him and he said, Aaron, I noticed that there was one phrase you didn't say with such excitement. This little boy was very smart. He knew what his grandfather meant. He said, Zaidi, I'm only 6 years old, right? I'm not worried about, la'ei zikna, to my old age. So his Zaidi said, I want to give you an insight. I want to tell you something, what this phrase means on a deeper meaning, and it relates to every single one of us here tonight, regardless of what age. And that is, old age can also be a mindset. There are many people who can be in their 20s and 30s and say, I'm so tired already. Let somebody else do it. I've done my share. Get somebody else. I'm out of here. And people that are 40 and 50 do that as well. And that's what we're praying. God, while I'm still young and I have my faculties, please do not allow me to fall into that mindset of being burned out. Al tashlichenu, don't throw us away la'ei zikna. A person, if you are walking and talking and you're able to breathe and you're able to accomplish, you have to accomplish until the last days of life. You can't just sit back and say, okay, I did enough. Let everybody else do it. And that's what I want to talk about tonight. Excitement. Waking up in the morning and feeling a connection to Hashem. And that's what I would like to ask David to come up here. And David is going to give us a beautiful, beautiful rendition of one of the precious words that we say in the morning. Moida ani. Why don't you come up, tell us a little about yourself? Father, I love this guy.
So, I'm not the speaker. I'm not the one with words. I'm the one with music. The real speaker is my cousin, Rabbi Paysach Krohn, who is the pride of the Krohn family in so many ways. No, it's really true. I think about my own father, Oliver Sholem, and the way that he would drive around in the car, in Norfolk, Virginia, in Portsmouth, where he was a rabbi there at Golden Chesed congregation, and listen to all of the tapes in the car that you would send them. And he was so excited every time he would call me if I was off in college or something and say, Paysach just sent a tape. I'm going to put it in and listen. It's about this. It's about that. He's so excited. So it's a pleasure to be here, and it's
so wonderful.
Yeah, it's wonderful. With the idea of having excitement and alacrity and this feeling, there's a great song that sort of captures that comes out of our Yiddish tradition. It's by a chazan by the name of Samuel Bugash, who wrote a bunch of fantastic Jewish melodies, a lot of traditional things, nigunim that are done still to this day, a lot of things that will be recognizable to the ear. And this is a melody that you'll catch on to very quickly when you hear it. And the words as well in Yiddish, you'll hear the Zog der Rebbe Reb Motinu. Reb Motinu says, good morning. He greets Hashem. He greets HaKadosh Baruch Hu. A good morgen, dear Gotinu. And he goes on, and he does it in the morning, he does it in the evening, and he sings the song Bim Bom Bom. And he says, Tzadikim geyin bom. Tzadikim, the righteous people, go through the world, they're happy, they say bom, they're singing, and the Rishoyim faln bom. And the sinners, the Rishoyim, that they fall to the ground with a big bom. Bom, bom. Bidi bidi bam, bim bam bam bam, bidi bidi bam, bam bam, bidi bidi bam, bim bam, bidi bidi bam, bam bam, bidi bidi bam, bim bam, bye bye, bidi bidi bam, bam bam, bidi bidi bam, bim bam, bidi bidi bam. Sagt der Rebbe Reb Motinu, guten Morgen dir Gott in you, nimm mal auf von uns dein Kass, wird men Tom gedient Kadas. Nimm mal auf von uns dein Kass, wird men Tom gedient Kadas. Oh, Tzadikim, Tzadikim gehen bom, oh, Reshoim fall bom, 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 bidi bidi bam, bim bam bam bam, bidi bidi bam, bom, bom, bidi bidi bam, bim bam, bidi bidi bam. Sagt der Rebbe Reb Motinu, Gott helf dir Gott in you. Der Tag ist heiß, die Milchama ist schwer, nur wenn los nicht daraus das Gewehr. Der Tag ist heiß, die Milchama ist schwer, nur wenn los nicht daraus das Gewehr. Oh, Tzadikim, Tzadikim gehen bom, oh, Reshoim fall bom, 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 bidi bidi bam, bim bam bam bam, bidi bidi bam, bom, bom, bidi bidi bam, bim bam, bidi bidi bam. Sagt der Rebbe Reb Motinu, guten Abend dir Gott in you. Der Tag ist heiß, ich hab alles gemacht. Gib mir a stille Nacht. Der Tag ist heiß, ich hab alles gemacht. Gib mir a stille Nacht. Oh, Tzadikim, Tzadikim gehen bom. Oh, Reshoim fall bom, bom,
bom, bidi bidi bam, bim bam, bye bye, bidi bidi bam, bom, bom, bidi bidi bam, bim bam, bidi bidi bam, bom.
It's a very famous story about a Hasidic Rebbe who once went into a very small town on the day of Rosh Hashanah. And he knew that these people in this small town, they didn't really know how to daven. And he knew that if he starts saying words, they wouldn't pronounce them properly. And so what he said, I know that all of you know the Aleph Beis. Why don't we just recite the Aleph Beis with great intent, and we will ask Hashem to take up the Jewish alphabet and put together the words that we were supposed to say, but we just don't know how to say them. And this is a famous story that happened many, many years ago. And believe it or not, when the Soviet Union opened up and Jews were able then to come to the Soviet Union, Rabbanim were able to come, that's what they did in many places. They had the whole community just say the Aleph Beis. And each person said it out loud, and then he said, Hashem, please take these letters and formulate them. Now when I was growing up, my mother and my father, Aleichem Hashalom, they spoke to me in Yiddish. Of course we spoke English as well, but Yiddish was the mother tongue. And my uncles and my aunts, Uncle Feivel, David's father, among all of them, would sometimes come to the house and sing certain songs. And there was one song that touched me so much because it was about the Aleph Beis. And I will never forget, I once had the opportunity to be a guest speaker at a dinner for a cheder in Switzerland. And I thought that I would be the speaker. I had no idea there was going to be a choir there. And the little boys of the cheder, they got up and they sang together with a choir leader a song that made me cry because it reminded me of my youth and the purity of the Jewish soul. Now those of you who have ever heard the song, After Pripachik, brennt the fire. I see some people are nodding. What it is in the fireplace, there is a fire that is glowing. And the Rebbe learned mit die Kinderlach. And the Rebbe is learning with children, Kometz Aleph Ba. To me, that is the greatest Yiddish song ever put together. And I asked David if he would sing it for us.
Auf Pripachik brennt a Feuer und in Stob ist heiß und der Rebbe lernt kleine Kinderlich dem Aleph Beis und der Rebbe lernt kleine Kinderlich dem Aleph Beis. Zetsche Kinderlich gedenkt Shetayere, was ihr lernt do. Sog schon noch einmal und Tage noch einmal, kommet's Aleph O. Sogt schon noch einmal und Tage noch einmal, kommet's Aleph O. Läufen Pripachik brennt a Feuer und in Stob ist heiß und der Rebbe lernt kleine Kinderlich dem Aleph Beis und der Rebbe lernt kleine Kinderlich dem Aleph Beis.
Now I'd like to share with you a story that really was one of the most moving events of my teenage years. I loved going to camp. To me, going to camp was like going to Gan Eden. I loved color war. I couldn't wait a whole year to go up to the mountains in Monticello. We had a camp in Ferndale. That's where I attended every year. And one year my father said to me, it was right after Purim, just around this time, he said, this year you're not going to camp. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, like what happened? My father can't afford to send me to camp. He said, this year you're going to do something better. I said, Pa, there's nothing better than camp. He said, you'll see. I said, what do you want me to do? He said, I want you to go to Eretz Yisrael. Now this was in 1964, before the 6-Day War. Now today, so many boys go to study in Israel, in the yeshivas, the girls go to seminaries. But in 1964, very, very few boys or girls went to study in Israel. I said, why do you want me to go to Israel? He said, because there's going to be a Knessia Gedola. Knessia Gedola means a great gathering. And rabbis from all over the world are coming. They're going to be in the Binyanei Omah. And I want you to go. You're going to be there for a few weeks. And you go with your tape recorder and you record their sessions. And that Knessia, that gathering, is only going to be for a few days. And then afterwards, I want you to go visit the various rabbis throughout Israel, and it'll change your life forever. And that's exactly what happened. My father sent me, and to me, I thought I was going like to a desert land. I had never been in Israel. I think I had been on a plane once in my life. And it was a fascinating, fascinating thing. Now, in 1964, people did not have phones in their homes. I mean, today everybody's got 3 cell phones in Israel. But then, nobody had phones. If you wanted to make a call, you had to go to a post office, those of you old enough to remember, and you had to make an appointment and then figure out when your parents were going to be up and when you would make the call. So for 2 months, I didn't speak to my parents once, but what happened was that they would write me letters every day, and I wrote them letters as well. And one day, my father writes me a letter, and he says, you know, I'd like you to do me a favor. I'd like you, this was right before Elul. It was already in the month of Elul. And he said, you know that people get up very, very early for slichos. And I want you to go, I heard that there's some old man who goes around and he wakes up people for slichos. Could you go 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and record him? And I'm thinking, this is crazy. I'm going to go 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning to hear an old guy sing some song to wake up people for slichas? And my father doesn't even know if he really does it or not, if he's still around. So I answered every letter except that one. And a couple days later, I get another letter from my father, and he says, maybe the mail is not so good, but I wrote you a few days ago, you're coming back soon to America. Maybe you could go and record that guy who wakes up people for slichas. So I started asking around, look, it's my father, he paid for my trip, and, you know, he asked me twice. So I decided, okay, I have no choice. Of course, I was afraid to go, but in those days, if you remember, again, there was no iPhones, no MP3s, wasn't even cassettes. It was like a big boombox, if you remember, like reel-to-reel tape recorders, right? These big things, and I was schlepping this around, and I'm walking 3, 4 o'clock in the morning with my friend because I was afraid to go alone, and it's so dark, and again, we didn't have the old city at that time. It was only after the 6-Day War that we got the old city. So, does anybody remember till where the boundary was? There was a certain gate. Who remembers what it was called? Anybody remember?
Mandelbaum.
Very good. Who said that? Very good. The Mandelbaum gate. You're right. I'll give you a free CD. Okay? So, you're right. The Mandelbaum gate. And this was by the Bukharian houses around there. And all of a sudden, as we're walking, I hear in the distance somebody saying in Yiddish, "Steh doin for slichas, steh doin for slichas, get up for slichas." So I was thinking, that's what my father wants me to record, I can do that. Like, what's the big deal? But okay, I figured, okay, maybe if he knows who does this. So I start running with my friend towards this little guy who's standing in front of a little apartment house house, which is only 2 floors. There's not higher than that in the Bukharian houses. Now, this guy never sees anybody 4 o'clock in the morning, right? And all of a sudden he sees in the distance 2 big guys, 2 teenagers are coming running to him. He's so terrified. And I said, don't worry, we're Americans. Don't worry, that's the answer for Alam Shagasn. Don't worry, you don't have to worry for us. We're safe. We're safe. Don't worry. He says, what's Wilter? Like, what do you want from me? I said, I'm an American. And this is a tape recorder. Now, I didn't know if he knew what a tape recorder was. I said, imagine telling somebody that you can talk into this piano or this, Casio, and it's going to talk back to you. Like, I didn't know, like, if I was talking, Chinese to him. I said, my father told me that there's somebody that wakes up people for slichas. Do you know who that is? Because this is a tape recorder, and if I could record it, it would mean so much to my father. So he says, "Dos is mir." That's me. I'm the one who does it. So I said, "Please." My father asked me so many times that I should try to find you because I'm going back to America in a few days. Would you mind just singing it so I could record it for you? So I want to sing for you. I'm so embarrassed to do it. I'm not like David. I don't sing in public. But I just want you to hear these words, and of course we'll translate it, and then you'll see what excitement is. That's what David was singing about before. We get up in the morning and we thank Hashem that we're alive and we're able to make a connection to Him and to all other members in Klal Yisrael, and we're able to make a connection to mitzvahs. That's what we have to have all the time, every day, no matter what age, a great excitement. So listen to this. Just picture it. He's standing there and he says to me, okay, he's going to do it. And he goes like this. Yisrael am kodosh shtei toif la'avodas aboidei rotz katzvi ve'gibor koadi la'sois ritzoin avicha shebashamayim. Yisrael am kodosh shtei toif la'avodas aboidei. Then he opens his eyes and he says, okay? Why was that okay? Yisrael am Kodesh. Yisrael, the holy nation. Shtei toif la'avodas aboidei. Get up to serve your Creator. Rotz katzvi, run like a deer. Gibor kari, be strong like a lion. Lasais ritzayin avicha shabashamayim. To do the will of your Creator. Without exaggeration, my father, Olav Shalom, must have listened to that tape recording 100 times. Every day, every night he listened to it. Now, I lived in Queens, but I went to school in Brooklyn, so I had to get up early. Now, my mother was very into classical music. Mozart, Beethoven, all those. So every morning she would wake us up, 6:30 in the morning with Mozart and Beethoven, because we had to get up, to go to school. But once we had this, forget about Mozart. Yisrael am Kodesh. But it taught me a great lesson. Yisrael am Kodesh. Klal Yisrael is a holy nation. And we have a job to do. We have to be representatives of Hashem in this world. That's what this whole organization, TORCH, is all about. To show us that we're a special people. That we have a special role to fulfill. And that all Jews are brothers. Makes no difference how religious or not religious somebody is. We're all brothers and sisters. And if we can learn that, then we can inspire each other. And then we can accomplish great things. And that's what this community is all about, and that's what TORCH is all about. Nobody is judged. Everybody is welcome. And when I spoke to David, I said, if we come to a place of such achdos, of such unity. I remember my father, Shalom, once told me something, I don't know where he got it from, maybe from the Reader's Digest, but you will never forget this. He said the difference between the word united and untied, spelled with the exact same letters, united and untied, is where you put the I. If you put the I, the selfish I, in the wrong place, then chas v'shalom, a family is untied, a community is untied, and Klal Yisrael is untied. But if you put the I, yourself, in the right perspective of where you belong to the community and in the family, then it's united. So I suggested to David that there's one song that we all know that maybe we could sing together and David will lead us. And that's Hine Matov Manoim Shevas Achim Dam Yochad.
Please join with me.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שרץ אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שרץ אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שרץ אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שרץ אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שרץ אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שרץ אחים גם יחד.
I want to share with you a very, very moving story. As I said many, many times in the Young Israel, we were talking about different topics, and I mentioned many times that my father passed away when I was 21. I had to take over from him. I became a male at that time. He taught me, but in the last months of his life, I learned in different hospitals as well. And I was very, very close to my mother. My mother, unfortunately, was a widow for 40 long years. And she never got over the passing of my father. So I was very, very close to her. She taught me writing. As I said today, we used to read the New York Times together and underline expressions. And all the writing ability that I have, Baruch Hashem, I've written many, many books on Jewish short stories. I hope to donate many of them here to Torch. It was only because of the lessons and the writing that I learned from my mother and the editing that she did for everything that I wrote. So I was convinced that there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that anybody could tell me that I don't know about my mother. I have a wonderful wife, Baruch Hashem. We lived only 2 blocks away from my mother. My wife became my mother's best friend. So she was always in the house and we were there. Even on vacations when I took my children, we always took my mother. We were very close again, so I didn't think there was anything that anybody could tell me that I didn't know about my mother. And this past year, it's almost a year, just about this time, that my nephew, Rabbi Yehuda Gutman, called me up, and he said, Uncle Paysach, I want to tell you something about your mother that you don't know about. I said, Hudi, that's impossible. He says, no, I'm telling you, because I was with her the last day of her life, and something happened that I never told you, because I didn't understand it. And I said, Hudi, are you serious? He said, I want to tell you what happened. He says, now that I'm a teacher in a school, and I taught something to my children, I saw something in the Be'er Heitev, which is a commentary on the Shulchan Aruch, and now all of a sudden I understood it, and that's why I wanted to call you. He said, my mother passed away the 2nd day of Sukkot, right after the Yom Tov ended at the beginning of Chol Hamoed. So the last day of her life was the 2nd day of Sukkot. So Hudi tells me, he was in the hospital together with her. She was in a hospital in New Jersey, and he lived in New Jersey, so he volunteered to be there. She said she wasn't responding anymore. And that morning I came in with my lulav and esrog, and I said to her, Bubby, would you like to do the mitzvah of shaking the lulav and the esrog? I have a lulav and the esrog together. We'll say the bracha together. And she didn't move. She didn't say anything. So Hudi said, okay, I'll do it together with her anyway. I didn't, think she understood what was going on. She didn't respond. And I put her fingers around the lulav and esrog, and I put my fingers around hers. And I said, Bubby, we're going to say the bracha together. And he made the bracha on the lulav and esrog, and he told me that he shook the lulav and esrog all the directions, and that was that. And then he wanted to take the lulav and esrog from her. But she wouldn't give it to him. She was holding on to it very tight. So he thought that maybe she doesn't know what's going on. So he said, Bubby, we just made the bracha and we did the mitzvah, so I could take it back. She didn't say anything. She just held it very, very tight. So my nephew said, I saw that she wants to hold on to it, so I didn't say anything. So I let her hold it. And the second I let my fingers go, Hudi tells me, your mother, that's his grandmother, my mother, took the lulav and esrog to her lips and she kissed it and she gave it back to him. He said he couldn't believe it. Obviously she knew that this was a mitzvah that they were doing. And obviously she felt a closeness to this mitzvah. He thought she wasn't responding. She didn't know what was going on. And here she kissed the lulav and esrog. Obviously she knew this was a certain holy thing that they had just done. He said, I never told you about it because I didn't understand why she did it. And then this year, which is again a year ago from today, he said, I saw something in the Be'er Tev. Now I just want to read you what this commentary who writes on the Shulchan Aruch, he writes like this. Kosav Shloh HaKodesh, the great Shloh HaKodesh wrote, Ro'isi Mibnei Aliyah, I saw higher elevated people, Shahayu Menashkin HaMatzos. They used to kiss the matzahs at the Seder. Never in my life did I kiss a matzah until last Seder. Now, all my kids, we all started kissing matzahs. Now, I never knew that there's such a thing as kissing a matzah, right? But he says, you know why they kiss the matzahs? They kiss the matzahs because they love it, because it's a mitzvah. And he says the maror, that I didn't do. The maror I didn't kiss. But the matzah I kissed. And then he says, listen to this. He says, v'chein sukkah, when you walk into a sukkah, I never knew you do this, that the holy people do this. Every time you walk into the house, you kiss the mezuzah. She said, every time you walk into a sukkah, you walk out of a sukkah, you kiss the walls of the sukkah. And then he writes, v'chein dalet minim shebelulav, the 4 species of the lulav. You kiss them after you finish. V'hakol, why is this? L'chavay v'mitzvah, to show how much you love a mitzvah. V'ashrei mi she'oived Hashem b'simcha. Fortunate are those who serve God with happiness. And to me, that is such an unbelievable story, because it shows us a number of different things. It shows us that even a person on the last day of their lives, when medical people would have said, she's not living a life of meaning, she's in pain, she doesn't know what's going on, take her off the respirator, take her off, anything that's keeping a person alive. No. My mother, I don't think she was on a respirator then, but, she was not responding. So medical people will say, what kind of life is that? You know what kind of life is that? She did something. I've spoken about this to thousands of people, and this past year people told me that they kissed the lulav and esrog, they kissed the sukkah, they never did it before. And here we learned something from a lady that was dying a few hours before her death. And I think that if we want our children to love mitzvahs, then we have to exhibit a love of a mitzvah. When we have an opportunity to do a mitzvah, we shouldn't complain about how expensive it is. We shouldn't complain how time-consuming it is. But the way you treat a chumash, the way you treat a siddur, the way you treat any mitzvah, the children see that. And that's what love of a mitzvah is. And when you do that, and you bring your children into the fold in that way, and you show them how you care about mitzvahs, then that's a great way to make sure that they do it. And that's what's important. Never to lose the love that we have for learning, for Torah, for doing mitzvahs, and sharing good times with each other. So, if you have another song that you would like to sing, by all means.
I just want to say again, just what an honor it is to be able to do this with you. I mean, it's really such a thrill for me. It's the pride of the family, and I can't tell you how many times that I listen to also your CDs. I'm a fan as well as a family member, and the moments that I just feel really like I need a lift. I always listen to your tapes and your lectures and your shiurim and read your stories and all the monkey books that we always had on my bookshelf as a child. So this is really exciting. I want to end with just a special melody. It comes right out of the davening as well, a little piece of chazanas. It's Avram Elstein had set this, but it was made famous by the Chazan Yisrael Shor. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece.
Ratzoin, Shem Elokeinu Velokei Avoseinu Sheibon Beis Hamikdash Bimheira V'yameinu V'sein Chelkeinu V'soiros V'echad Sheibon Beis Hamikdash Bimheira V'yameinu Yehi Ratzain Milfonecha Ratzain Yehi Sheibon Beis Hamikdash Bimheira V'yameinu V'sein Chelkeinu V'soiros V'echad Sheibon Beis Hamikdash Bimheira V'yameinu V'sein Chelkeinu V'soiros V'echad Sheibon Beis Hamikdash Bimheira V'yameinu Yehi Ratzain Milfonecha Ratzain Yehi Ratzain Milfonecha Yehi Ratzain Milfonecha Sheibon Beis Hamikdash Sheibon Beis Hamikdash Ay Bimheira V'yameinu V'sein Chelkeinu V'soiros V'echad V'sham Navotcha V'yira V'sham Navotcha V'yira Ki me'yoilom U'chshonim kadmon yois Sheibon Beis Hamikdash Bimheira V'yameinu V'sein Chelkeinu V'soiros V'echad Sheibon Beis Hamikdash Bimheira V'yameinu V'sein Chelkeinu V'soiros V'echad U'chshonim kadmon yois.
That's pride. Having a cousin like that is so talented and has such a Yiddish heart. I just want to end with this magnificent, magnificent story. Last year, I had the opportunity to be in Boca. There's a wonderful, wonderful rabbi there, Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg. It was his 10th year, and they had a weekend of celebration for him and his wife for devoted service to their community. And I met the assistant rabbi, Rabbi Moskowitz, and he told me a most remarkable story. He said that he had a distant Israeli cousin who was not religious, who didn't go to a religious school and just learned about Jewish culture. He never studied Gemara, but he knew that there was such a thing as Gemara. He never really studied Chumash, but he knew that there was such a thing as Chumash. And he went through high school, and then he went to the Israeli army. Now today, unfortunately, the pressures of those soldiers in the Israeli Defense Force are so great that sometimes what happens is that after they finish their tour of duty with the army, they go to foreign places that most of us have never been to. Asia, and Indonesia, and India, Aleph Havorfen Plaza, all these places. And unfortunately, this fellow, he tells me, his cousin, was far away in India. He was in Mumbai. And the longer he was away from Israel, the longer it severed his connection to Yiddishkeit until he dropped everything. And one night he was in a bar in Mumbai, 8 o'clock at night. And he's drinking with his friends. And all of a sudden he hears the sound of a shofar. And he couldn't get over shofar. Shofar is frightening. Who's blowing shofar in Mumbai 8 o'clock at night? He couldn't believe it. He runs out of the bar. He runs into the street, trying to see who's blowing shofar. But the street was so crowded because there were many pubs and bars on that street. And he's looking around, and after about a minute and a half, down the block again, he hears the sound of a shofar. Now, shofar is frightening. Shofar in Mumbai is surely frightening because you don't expect it any place like that. He was so shaken that he went straight. He didn't even go back to the bar with his friends. He went straight to his apartment. He opened up his calendar and he took a look and he saw that it was Yom Kippur. That day had been Yom Kippur, and the one who was blowing shofar was the Chabad Shliach in Mumbai, who was going around to tell everybody that the fast was over, they could eat and they could go back to work. Well, when this kid realized that he had fallen so far that he didn't even know it was Yom Kippur, he just fell apart and he started crying. He couldn't stop crying. Like, how far did he fall from his heritage? He didn't even know it was Yom Kippur. Now, the next part of the story is hard to believe. But what he did the next day, it's hard to believe this, but he actually packed his bags, got on a plane, went back to Israel, and he enrolled in a yeshiva. The kid had never been in a yeshiva. He came to a yeshiva, and he said, I want to study. Now, he was in that yeshiva and in other schools and other yeshivas for the next 10 years. And within the period of 10 years, he became very religious, he got married, he had 5 children. He just had his 5th child a few weeks ago. And wherever I went, I was telling this story. And Rabbi Moskowitz said, you know, when I heard this story, I realized something very special. Now, all of us, when you come to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, you say this prayer, you will never say it the same after you hear what Rabbi Moskowitz said. He said, that Chabad Shliach who blew shofar, he will never know how he influenced my cousin. He blew shofar, he had no idea, but my cousin changed because of that fellow blowing shofar. And my cousin will probably never meet that Lubavitcher guy, that Chabad fellow. He said, but when we say on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the most moving tefillah, Masana Tokef, before we say, Mi Yichye or Mi Yomus, we say like this, V'siptach es Sefer HaZichronos. God is going to open up the book of memories. U'me'elav Yikore, it's going to be like a tape recorder. It's going to run by itself. And everything that we do in life is going to be recorded there. And you and God are going to watch this video of your life. And then it says, V'choisam yad kol adam boy. Every person will sign off on that video. So Rabbi Moskowitz asked the question, why does it say V'choisam yad kol adam boy? Every person will sign. It should say V'choisam yad adam, the person who's sitting there watching the video with God of all the memories of everything that happened in life. He's going to sign. What's kol adam? And he said something brilliant. He said, after 120 years, when my cousin goes to Shemayim, you know whose signature is going to be in his book? That Chabad guy. Because that Chabad guy had an influence on his life. That's what it means. V'choisem yad kol adam. Anybody who had influence on you, their signature is going to be in your book. And anybody that you had an influence on, your signature is going to be in their book. And that's what Torch is all about. That's what life is all about. Each one of us has to come and try to learn from great rabbis, like Rabbi Wolbe and all his associates, so that after 120, when God looks at our book, his signature is going to be in our book. And we in turn have to become those type of Jews that are so inspirational to others that we sign other people's books. That's v'yad kol adam chaysav boy. We're all in it together. That's what life is all about. Getting close to great people letting them sign your book, so to speak, and then you going out and you doing things that you're going to sign their books. And Jeff, I want to tell you something. You have signed the books of hundreds of people this Shabbos, you and your family. What an unbelievable memorial for your late mother, whose yahrzeit is coming up. First yahrzeit. And what does Jeff do? There are many people who do different things on a yahrzeit. But Jeff decided, let's make it a Shabbos of Torah. Let's make it a Shabbos of inspiration. And because of that, his mother, Allah Shalom, and Jeff and his wonderful family have signed the books of hundreds of us. Because many people hopefully were inspired this Shabbos. They'll change because of it. And it'll only be because of this Shabbos. Hashem should bless you. The memory of your mother should be a blessing. Rabbi Wolbe, I just give you a bracha. That this torch should light a torch in Klal Yisrael. You know, I was so moved when I heard that Rabbi Wolbe is the grandson of Rabbi Shlomo Wolbe. Because I loved that man. I went to see him. I read his Svarim all the time. You come to my house, Alei Shur is all marked up. I quote it so many times. And his book, he has a book, Netiya Obinyan, Raising and Planting, Raising a Jewish Child. Any of you that have children that want to know how to raise a child, read that little book. It's printed in Hebrew and in English. And I just want to end by telling you something that your grandfather once told me. I'll never forget it. I went to visit him in Givat Shol, that's where he lived, right? I went to visit him in Givat Shol. He's wearing his big yarmulke. He's such a beautiful person, like from a different age. And I said to him in front of my children, I had my son and my daughter-in-law there and one of my grandchildren. I said, Rebbe, tell me, you know, I have the opportunity to speak about chinuch, Torah education, to many parents all over. What should I tell them? And he said, I'll never forget this. He said, tell every parent there are two things they have to give their children. Time and love. So my son was in the kollel, and I guess he was worried how much time he's going to have to spend with his son, right? So he said, Rebbe, how much time do I have to spend with my son? And Rabbi Wolbe gave the classic answer in a second. And he said, as much as they need. And that's what life is all about. We all need time. Our children need time. Our grandchildren need time. Our friends need time. We have to be there for them. That's what Torch is all about. And when I heard years ago that Rabbi Wolbe and David are learning with Chavrusa, their Torah partners, oh my gosh, made me so proud. You're the pride of the family. It's amazing. Certainly the most handsome in the family, that's for sure. Hashem should bench you, should find the right zivug. I'll be the moil for your kid. I don't know how I'm going to get the knife on the plane. We'll have to strip it in this bed. But again, Jeff, thank you for a wonderful Shabbos, and thank all of you for coming. Hashem should bless all of you. You should fulfill your potential and become people that have that torch of Yiddishkeit within your hearts. Thank you.